بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا ونبينا محمد وعلى آله الطيبين الطاهرين واللعنة الدائمة الأبدية على أعدائهم أجمعين إلى قيام يوم الدين. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي. So we are going to discuss today the rulings again from the annex of Manasik al-Hajj, not the main text of Manasik al-Hajj. From the annex of Manasik al-Hajj, we are going to discuss the rulings of interruption in tawaf, cutting the tawaf, qat' al-tawaf. So the first question is, what is the meaning of qat' al-tawaf? Cutting the tawaf, discontinuing the tawaf. How does the tawaf becomes discontinued? Now remember, there are problems they can happen during the tawaf. They can be fixed. Like wudu, like facing the Kaaba, go back a little bit and come, whatever, walking like on the air because carried on by the crowd. All these kind of things we mentioned, they can be fixed. But then when is the tawaf considered interrupted in a way that it's cancelled? Cancellation of tawaf, discontinuation of the tawaf, finish. That tawaf is no more tawaf. You have to do a new tawaf. So when is the tawaf considered discontinued or cancelled? Because once you start the tawaf, you are stuck in the tawaf. You're hanging in the tawaf. You can't decide, oh, I'm cancelling, I'm going to do the new one, because that's it. Maybe that is not cancelled. Okay, maybe the gap was not more than 10 minutes, or even it was more than 10 minutes. However, it was the excusable ones, because there are very few cases more than 10 minutes is permissible, as we mentioned in the main theme. So here, the whole idea is that when is the tawaf totally deleted, finish, like part of the tawaf done, other part not done. When is it considered deleted? Okay, all the other things can be patched. So he says, if a person enters inside the Kaaba, like he was performing the tawaf, let's say on the day of Arafah, when the Makkah is almost empty, okay, only few people of Makkah are coming there doing their tawaf. So what happens there, that the process of cleaning of the Kaaba happens. When the process of the cleaning of the Kaaba from inside happens, what does that mean? That means the door is open, and many times they allow some of the people who are doing tawaf to get the blessings of coming inside the Kaaba. So this person was doing the tawaf, and this is the door of the Kaaba here, this Hajar al-Aswad door of the Kaaba. And the door was open, and he like sneaked inside like Pink Panther or something. Or no, they were inviting people, so he just went inside. He said, tawaf I can do later on, okay? But now this is an opportunity to go inside the Kaaba. So basically, the guy goes inside the Kaaba. So that is one way that the tawaf becomes disrupted, cancelled. سينقطع الطواف بالدخول في الكعبة المعظمة. The great Kaaba, once you enter inside it, then your tawaf becomes deleted, or becomes invalid. خلاص, you can't continue the same tawaf. And what is the second thing? وبفوات الموالاة العرفية بين أشواطها. Remember that gap should not exceed 9 minutes. So 10 minutes finish between the rounds, the gap between the rounds. So it also becomes invalidated by leaving a gap, a commonly considered gap between the rounds of the tawaf. That means you miss the commonly considered consistency or continuity. Okay, even if you don't get out of the tawaf, because getting in the Kaaba is getting out of the platform of tawaf. Now here, you're still in the platform. You did not go in Safa Marwa area. You did not go inside the Kaaba. So in this case, وَإِن لَمْ يَخْرُجْ مِنَ الْمَطَافِ, even if he did not exit the Tawaf platform. Okay. So so this is how the Tawaf becomes invalid, by abandoning the consistency. Commonly considered, common observer considers your tawaf invalid. Finish, your tawaf is invalid, the time. And the time, say the Sistani Damadullah, based on his questioning and answering the common observer, he concluded it should not exceed 10 minutes. It should not exceed 9 minutes. Like edge of 9, you go in 10, you have a problem. So Sayyidina previously also mentioned qat' tawaf, discontinuing the tawaf or cutting the tawaf. Okay. So in ruling number 307. So what was that all about? He says, Naam al-murad. Yeah, yes. However, the meaning of cutting the tawaf in the ruling number 307 from the main theme of manasik al-hajj, and after it is you just intentionally leave the tawaf. You don't want to continue that tawaf. Okay. هو رفع اليد عن إتمامه. You don't want to continue. You discontinue the tawaf. How? That's a third meaning. First meaning, entering inside the Kaaba. Second meaning, leaving the gap. And because when you enter inside the Kaaba, you're not in the platform of Tawaf. So going inside the Kaaba, number one. Number two, abandoning the consistency and the continuity by leaving a gap 10 minutes above. The third one we discussed was exiting the Tawaf area and preoccupying yourself with something. Like remember, he went to Safa Marwa area and he came back. So that does not invalidate the consistency. Some Maraja, they consider it an invalidation. He said he came back less than 10 minutes. He can continue. He did not lose the consistency. But Sayyidina, he left out of the tawaf. That's fine. That requires associated with something which is called preoccupying in something which is not part of the tawaf, which is not considered tawaf. Inside the Kaaba, even if 1 minute, less than 1 minute, coming out, finish, you have to redo the tawaf. Staying in the 10 minutes in the platform, invalidation of the tawaf. And then if you go out and come in quickly, as long as you come inside the range of muwalat, consistency, your tawaf, you can continue the tawaf, but you have to continue the tawaf. Unless you got busy with something which is not considered tawaf. So, such as talking with somebody on cell phone or buying grocery or something like that. Nowadays, it's like but before, once you get out of the Safa and Marwa area, there are all shops there. So you went and get something, got some purchase, some item, and came back. Because you thought, oh, if I'll finish the tawaf, the shops will close. Let me just go and get it. So it was like not like now there are restrictions. Now to get out and come in, it takes more than 10 minutes. Yeah, to get into the Safa area, Safa and Marwa area, that doesn't take 10 minutes. It takes quite time because they have made a long walk to enter the Safa and Marwa area. They've systemized it. So that means if you are in the tawaf, after you do the tawaf, the only exit they have made is like when you go from Safa and Marwa to Safa and Marwa area after finishing Salat al-Tawaf. So it's mapped properly. Like after finishing the tawaf behind Maqam Ibrahim, they have made a big gap place for offering salah. Before it was not like that. And then after that, you go inside into the Safa Marwa area route. Before it was no just like cross into the Masjid al-Haram. Now they have a walkway. It takes you to the Safa area. So anyhow, even that walkway if it is not considered part of the Masjid Haram, then you are considered that you have broken the consistency or the continuity. So these are the three things which invalidates your tawaf, or cuts your tawaf, that means you cannot continue after it. Number one, getting inside the Kaaba, you come out, redo the whole tawaf. You go to the Safa and Marwa area, or any area which is not considered part of Masjid Haram, and preoccupy yourself. This is the condition. And then come back in, even if it was for 1 minute, then you have your tawaf is gone. And the third thing is that on the platform of tawaf itself, if you leave a gap more than 9 minutes, like you get 10 minutes above, so then you lose your commonly considered consistency and continuity, and their tawaf becomes invalid. Okay, so he says that what are the situations? Question number 2. What are the situations in which, okay, one should redo the tawaf, obligatory tawaf, after discontinuing it without any need for completing the previous rounds? You see, it's always, if you want to bring a new tawaf, you bring new tawaf, but complete the previous one. Okay, don't let it leave it hanging, because it will affect the second tawaf as well in certain cases, as we saw previously. So he says, if you discontinue the tawaf before the fourth round, before completing the fourth round, that means before reaching the Hajj al-Aswad of the fourth round, and you are going to start the fifth one. So if a person before completing the fourth round, okay, um, um, it will be permissible for him to redo, I mean, start a new tawaf. He doesn't have to complete it in certain cases. Okay, 3 scenarios he has mentioned. In these 3 scenarios, the previous tawaf is gone. You don't have to complete it. Number one, if he exits the tawaf platform and preoccupies in anything which a common observer says the tawaf is well. Actually, this is a repetition of the same question here. Though those 3 things we mentioned, now they are numbered in question number 2. So, in the second one, we said that if a person is on the platform of tawaf, even if he did not preoccupy in any other thing, however, he left a gap of 10 minutes. And the third one, if he enters the Kaaba. So this is the same thing. He mentioned the only thing different here is the division of completing not completing the fourth round. So if he did not complete the fourth round, then and did one of these 3 things, that the tawaf is invalid. Okay, and it can be redone fresh from the beginning without any need to complete. So in this question, the criteria is mentioned. So basically, question 2 is inclusive to everything. Because the criteria of completing fourth round was not mentioned in the question number 1, but that's obvious. I mean, because that's the rule of thumb of Sayyidi Sistani Damadullah. But it's good that we have some clarification here. وأما إذا أراد الاستئناف بعد إتمام الشوط الرابع. However, if he wants to if he wants to begin a new tawaf, okay, after completing the fourth round, like he came, completed Hajj al-Aswad and a fourth round, and now he's going to start fifth round. Here he decided to break the tawaf, okay, by one of those 3 things. فلا يحق ذلك في الحالة الأولى. In the first situation, he cannot do like that. Okay, what was the first situation in this question? The first scenario in this question was that he leaves the tawaf area and preoccupies himself with something. He says that kind of thing is a bit shady. Okay, so come back. So وأما إذا أراد الاستئناف, and if he decided to start the tawaf from the beginning, fresh tawaf, and he had discontinued the tawaf when? After completing the fourth round, yani fifth or sixth or seventh. So he can't start a new round in the first case. First case was leaving the tawaf area and coming back. He said first finish the previous one, then start a new one. Okay. And in the second and the third scenario, no, he doesn't need to. That means entering the Kaaba, finish. Even if it was after fourth round, bring a new tawaf. Or leaving a gap more than 10 minutes plus gap you leave, khalas, you don't need to complete that. Muala done, finished, the tawaf becomes invalid. So, but in the first scenario, remember the guy went into the Safa area and came back, and he preoccupied himself with something. So we said that that tawaf becomes cut. So can he do a fresh tawaf after fourth round? We are talking about now fourth round. Before fourth round, all those scenarios he has to do fresh. After fourth round, the first scenario, going into Safa and coming back, no, he says complete the first one and then do the new one. Okay, but so entering the Kaaba, fourth round, after fourth round, before fourth round doesn't have any effect on it as an obligation. Muala, we already discussed a lot. There's no difference between before 10th round, before fourth round, or after the fourth round, after completing the fourth round. But exiting Safa to Safa area and coming back quickly, okay, so he has to complete. However, if he preoccupied, he missed the mualat. He missed the consistency. He preoccupied himself with something, shopping or chatting or on the phone or unnecessary things. So then here, a commonly considered person considers him, he has broken the tawaf. So here, what should he do? In this case, no. He has to complete the previous one, because maybe this commonly considered person considered that he preoccupied, but it was not. It was something related to his tawaf or something emergency necessity. So there's a gray area. So he said complete the previous one, the one who left Safa and came back, or shopping and then came back in less than 10 minutes. Okay, complete the first round and then do the new tawaf fresh. So he says that as for uh, performing a new tawaf, fresh, okay, new tawaf, without any need to continue the previous one. After, if the tawaf was abandoned after completing the fourth round, then in this case, in the first scenario, which is exiting the tawaf and this preoccupancy is very peculiar thing for Sayyidi Sistani. Preoccupying himself with something, even if it was for 1 minute, 2 minutes, in that case, yeah, the previous tawaf is gone, but not 100% gone. Maybe it's still alive somewhere. Okay. So complete that, then bring a new one. But in the case of entering the Kaaba, or in the case of missing the leaving a gap for 10 plus minutes, in that case he doesn't need to complete the previous one. He can just go and bring a new one, even though it's recommended precaution in the second scenario. Okay, the when he left the consistency to to redo. It's recommended precaution to complete and redo. So let's keep it let's give a summary, proper summary of this. We have three scenarios and two situations. Before completing the fourth round, after completing the fourth round. Before completing the fourth round, all the scenarios, he doesn't have to complete the previous one. Just bring the new one. What are these three scenarios? Entering the Kaaba, or in this ruling, exiting the Tawaf to Safa Marwa area or do shopping, preoccupying himself and coming back in less than that muwala time. Number two, missing the consistency, commonly considered consistency. Number three, entering the Kaaba. Entering the Kaaba is a flat rate. There's no ihtiyat, nothing. It seems that this narration is very clear cut that once you enter the Kaaba, tawaf becomes invalid. There's no commonly considered and mualat, and these commonly considered words, some are gray. So in that case, let's say common considered, but in reality, in ilm of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that the common was wrong, because there are times common can be wrong. So in that case, the first one was he left the Tawaf area to Safa area, for example, and came back. He shopped. He was talking on telephone business and something, preoccupied himself. But in less than 10 minutes, you're back in the Tawaf area. So this one we said before fourth round, all of them they have to do new. But after fourth round, do they have to complete the previous one and bring a new one? So the first scenario, we said that yes, he has to complete and bring a new one. There's a commonly observer, he observe you for 1 minute talking to the cell phone or buying some stuff and coming back. That was commonly considered, says that you have invalidated. So just bring a new. No, 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 no. Don't bring a new. Complete that, okay, and then complete the previous one and then bring the new one. So you can't just bring the new one, you have to finish that one. Why? This area preoccupying, what type of preoccupation is? It's a kind of shady stuff. You see, it causes hesitation with the marja. As for the second scenario, which is 10 minutes plus, okay, and the entrance, the Kaaba, he says you don't have to repeat, even though it is recommended precaution to repeat complete. You don't have to complete, sorry, you don't have to complete in the third scenario and the second scenario. But third scenario is flat rate, you don't have to. Second scenario, the consistency broken, 10 minutes plus. Here he says recommended precaution is that you complete the previous one. Okay, still there's muala, but then here we have a stronger direction. You don't need to bring, you don't need to complete that one because you missed the muala. There is a possibility. Okay, then recommended precaution is there. Okay, so this was all. Should he complete the previous round, previous tawaf, or not? Because the interruption happened after completing the fourth round. Question number 3. So this platform of tawaf, some areas there are some alley types walkways, not part of the people are not walking around it. There's some alleys, walkways, pathways from one section to another section, from one chamber to another chamber, staircases going down and coming up, you see. So all these are adjacent to the tawaf area, the sides. So he said getting into these alleys, okay, and pathways from the around the Masjid al-Haram is considered discontinuation of the tawaf. He says yes, unless if he comes back quickly in less than 10 and was not preoccupied with some other thing during his exit of the tawaf. Same repetition. Question number 4. Is it permissible to discontinue the tawaf optionally and start from the beginning? Yani, it feels like, let me just start from the beginning. I wanted to have this khushu and khudu and this. Tawaf was correct. Okay. They did not make any problem. But he felt that I did not have that khushu and khudu and all those kind of things in it. Okay. So he says you can discontinue it in any case, most apparently. That means adhar. That means there is a qawlun zahir. Some maraja, they might not allow. Say the Sistani allows it. From the evidences, it appears most apparent to me that you can discontinue the tawaf. Okay. So now discontinue the tawaf. How? يجوز القطع مطلقا. You can discontinue. You can just consider the tawaf gone. You can do that. But how? Proper way. Okay. Exiting the, like it's not prohibited for you to break the tawaf, but you need to do it properly. Okay. So you can cut the cake with your hand and smash it, and you can cut the cake with a knife. Okay. You can cut it properly. So you smash it, you mess up the cake, but you cut it properly, you can at least you have some kind of proper way to do it. Okay. So he says that yajuzul qata. So the people, they get mixed up with here. So okay, then I can cut and discontinue and redo. He said no, do it. We mentioned 3 ways. Okay, one of the 3 ways you do, yes, then you can start a new one. But he said that in previous ruling, before completing the 4th round, okay, this corner is our Hajar al-Aswad, you can redo. But after completing the 4th round, Hajar al-Aswad, now we are in the 5th round or 6th or 7th. That's where you need to have some you might have to complete the previous one in some scenarios, as he mentioned in the previous question. So he says it is permissible to discontinue the tawaf absolutely in any case. Okay. Most apparently, that means it's not prohibited. But how to discontinue? That's what we mentioned in the previous question. ولكن إذا كان ذلك في طواف الفريضة. However, if that discontinuation process was in the obligatory tawaf after completing the 4th round, or if it was in the recommended tawaf, okay, then the new tawaf which you are going to bring, so the new tawaf should be after losing the consistency and the continuity of the tawaf, 10 minutes plus gap. The commonly considered, commonly observed consistency, that needs to be broken. Okay. So so that you can bring a new fresh tawaf. وإيجاد مناف آخر كالخروج من المطار. Or you find another way to get out of the tawaf area and enter inside the Kaaba. Okay. But remember that getting out in Safa area and coming back, he has to first finish the previous one and then start a new one. Okay. But if he wants to cut, and if it was after the 4th round, only 2 ways he has that he doesn't need to continue the previous one. Either get into the Kaaba or either leave a gap 10 plus minutes. Question number 5. Again, it's all repetition, but they add, the questioner adds a few little bit spices or variations in the question. So question number 5 is it permissible to cut the or discontinue the tawaf? Khalas, I don't want the tawaf after completing the fourth round without any excuse. And then after that, he continues, okay, after completing the fourth round. Before completing fourth round, we said that yes, you can. You have to do one of those three things. After completing the fourth round, you have to do one of the two things: enter the Kaaba or leave a 10-minute gap plus. Then you can continue. Uh, but here the question is different. The question says, is it permissible to cut the tawaf with? Yeah, is it permissible to cut the tawaf, discontinue the tawaf after the fourth round without any excuse? And then okay. So say ثم البناء عليه وإكماله. So he decided to discontinue after the fourth round. Then he said, let me complete it. Okay, let me complete it, because he did not have any excuse to discontinue. But he discontinued. The question is it permissible to discontinue? That means you discontinued. And now you change your mind back, and now you want to complete it. And this was after the fourth round. So he says, cutting, we said, discontinuing the tawaf, we said it is most apparently you can do it. However, there's a method to do it. Okay. So he said, however, it is obligatory precaution in the scenario you have mentioned that you discontinued, okay, your tawaf after the fourth round, and now you want to just complete that. He said, on the basis of obligatory precaution, complete it and then bring a new one. Repeat it. Complete it and repeat it. Question number 3. So he says that you mention هل عدم الاكتفاء بطواف كامل بنية الأعم من التمام والإتمام في موارد الاحتياط. Remember some maraja, they don't have this complete the previous round and bring a new one. Some of the maraja, their ihtiyat is tamam and itmam. So what is the meaning of tamam and itmam? That means you bring 7 rounds after discontinued. And these 7 rounds, your intention is, Ya Allah, if the previous tawaf was hanging, so please take from this whatever rounds which can patch up that previous hanging tawaf, unfinished tawaf. If that tawaf was messed up, then I have performed 7 rounds. So this is completing and renewing. Okay? Completing and repeating. Niyat tamam, completing. Um, no, niyat tamam wal itmam. Itmam, completing. Tamam, a new one. So you bring only 7. Other maraja, they say precautionary measure is bring 7 rounds with the intention of, if that tawaf was hanging and still on hold, then Ya Allah, take from these 7 rounds whatever rounds are there and patch it there. If that tawaf is messed up, so I brought a new entire tawaf in it. Say the Sistani does not support, even though in the beginning of his marja'iyah he had this, but then he changed all to this. No, complete whatever is there and bring a new one. That is the best ihtiyat precautionary measure. Because what is the ishkal in that one, the previous one? The problem that you said tamam and itmam. Let's say I had 5 had done 5 rounds and I discontinued. Okay. And now so 2 rounds are missing. After fifth round, I discontinued. So sixth and seventh are left. So I come and bring 7 rounds. In these 7 rounds, maybe 2 rounds are for the previous one. Or no, if the previous one is messed up, then 7 round is mine. But let's reflect on the maybe 2 round. Let's say if there were 2 rounds taken from your tawaf and you completed that 7. But what about the 5 new rounds? They will be considered extra. Whenever you add intentionally extra rounds, your tawaf becomes invalid as a precautionary measure. So that's why Sayyidi Sistani does not choose. That's one of the reasons, but there are other substantive reasons as well. But this is a technical thing in the ruling that if you do the intention 7 rounds with the intention of completing that and bringing a new one. So let's say you did like 4 rounds. I'm repeating this basically just to show you where the technicality is. So now I'm missing 3 rounds. So when I bring 7 rounds, 3 rounds done. But then what about the 4 rounds? Other Maharaja, they say they are neglected. Say this Sistani says no. Even yesterday's rulings, you saw that even the guy had done few steps. Those were hanging on his shoulder. That means at the end, he did not complete the tawaf and he got messed up. Those extra footsteps he done were extra in tawaf. So that's why the tawaf was invalid, because you did 7 rounds, but then those extra, what did you do with them? You see, those are part of your tawaf. So there are 2-3 scenarios we mentioned yesterday. So please kindly go back. So I want you to understand the concept of Sayyidi Sistani Damadullah, that he doesn't like this idea of tamam and itmam. Okay, bring 7 rounds. It could be taken as continuation of the previous or a new round if the continuation is got messed up. He says just complete. That's the best precautionary measure. So the question says that هل عدم الاكتفاء بطواف كامل بنية الأعم من التمام والإتمام في موارد الاحتياط بالإتمام ثم الإعادة على النحو الفتوى الاحتياط. You said that one should not rely on that tamam and itmam. And the precautionary measure is that you complete and bring a new one. Don't do 2 in 1. Just do 2 in 2. Okay. So complete that. That's one tawaf done. Pray salat of that tawaf and bring a new one. So that is so he says, is this fatwa, Sayyidina, or ihtiyat? Obviously it's ihtiyat, because it's mentioned that in the precautionary measures you have mentioned the complete and then and repeat. Okay. So in a precautionary measure, so the answer is it is a precautionary measure. Okay, that means you can refer to other marja who says tamam atmam is sufficient. And question number 7. This we mentioned previously. A person did tawaf, did 5 rounds, okay? And then some necessity came, encountered him, and he had to discontinue the tawaf. So can he build upon those 5 rounds and bring 2 last rounds, or he needs to redo? He says he can build upon it and yabni alayhi, okay? And he just brings 2 rounds. And obviously, the consistency and muwala is a general rule. So even if he doesn't mention, he has mentioned it several times. So if he, yeah, but then there are some exceptional cases where the 10-minute rule is not applied, such as the women in the period or some necessity. So the questioner asked, اضطر إلى قطع الطواف, that he was compelled, he was forced to discontinue the tawaf due to the necessity. So in some cases, muwalat was considered. In some cases, no, even if it was a long gap. Okay. Number 8, if a person who's performing the tawaf with his wife, who was compelled, the wife was compelled to discontinue the tawaf, her tawaf. And okay, so what do I have to do with her? Her tawaf is discontinued. Yeah, but she needed a companion. Because if you leave her like that, she gets lost. She needs someone to escort her. So, and you are more prior to escort, but I'm doing tawaf. But let's see what say this Sistani says. Okay. So she needed a companion. Okay. Her husband to accompany her. Will that be an excuse for the husband to discontinue his tawaf? Because husband is not, it did not encounter, the wife encountered a necessity. So is accompanying of the husband considered a necessity or not? He said, yes, it is. And the same rule applies. He said, but so if it wasn't, he says, yes, it is a necessity for the husband because she needs his companionship. So, unless if she did not need. But the question says she needs his companionship. She needs that his escort is accompanying. He says that if, yes, it is considered necessity. So if the husband goes and it was obligatory tawaf and it was discontinued before the fourth round, completing the fourth round, then he needs to redo the tawaf as a rule of thumb. Number 9, if a person was compelled to discontinue the obligatory tawaf um, uh, at the end of the third round. The third round, Hajj al-Aswad, okay, discontinued. لمدة عشر أو الرابع, or the fourth one. So he, after the end of the third round or after the end of the fourth round. So the questioner puts two scenarios: before completing the fourth round, after completing the fourth round. And how much was the gap? 10 minutes. ثم رجع وأكمله. After that he came and he completed it, but the gap was 10 minutes and he did not redo the tawaf. So what is his ruling? He says if it was after the fourth round, okay, then he continues. But someone said there's a 10-minute. Yeah, but remember, when in the cases of necessities, اضطر, compelled to, forced to, did not have any option, then this 10 minutes is exempt, rule of 10 minutes. Because it's not in his hand. It's not, and he doesn't have an option. So he says that if it was after completing the fourth round, then he can just complete whatever rounds were remaining. There's nothing on him. وإن كان قبله, if it was before the completing the fourth round, like the third round and second or first, or before even completing the fourth round, but did not reach Hajj al-Aswad and he was compelled to leave, abandon, necessity, pressured, forced. So he said that he needs to redo the tawaf. Okay. So this is the same rule. The 10 minutes rule has some exceptional cases, which is the case of compelled or pressured or under. Like one of the situations is that when the Salat al-Jama'ah starts, Salat al-Jama'ah might not take 10 minutes. Okay. However, unless if it was some Maghrib Salat and Fajr Salat, the Qari takes long, long surahs, so it can take more than 10 minutes. So the bottom line is Salat Jama'ah takes 10 minutes, does not take 10 minutes. The bottom line is that the Haram prepares the people for Salat Jama'ah. So slowly, slowly they start telling the people, sit down, sit down, sit down, sit down. So before 5 minutes of the Salat al Jama'ah, they all are sitting down, or maybe before 10 minutes. That means the tawaf ceases. So that 10 minutes are there. Then Salat al Jama'ah, then after that. So this is a kind of being compelled to, not an option, okay, to discontinue the tawaf. So we said that there are few, like the women in period or women in istihada, the major istihada, to go and do the ghusl and come back, okay, if there's no place to do a ghusl in the Masjid Haram. And so we said these kind of things are a few exceptional cases from the rule of 10 minutes. So in this, he says that if it was after completing the fourth round, there's nothing. Before completing the fourth round, bring the whole tawaf back again. However, ولو عرض عليه الشك في عدد ما أتى به من الأشواط قبل القطع بعد الفراغ من أداء الأشواط الباقية فلا شيء عليه. However, if he doubts, how many rounds did I do? Were they 3? Were they 4? Okay. So we will consider it, and it was after completion. So the doubt was when? The doubt encountered him after the completion of the بعد الفراغ من أداء الأشواط الباقية. That means after completing all the rounds, all the remaining rounds, then he doubted. Did I stop on before the fourth round or after the fourth round? We said after completion of the act of worship, if someone doubts, then he can consider it the doubt is negligible doubt, and consider your tawaf correct because you have completed. Now you are doubting in the validity of it. So after completing an action, when a person doubts, that doubt it is negligible. You can ignore the doubt, and your tawaf will be correct. Okay. Here we have Salat al-Jama'ah scenario. Question number 10. Question number 11, Salat al-Jama'ah. Okay. So I think, let me see. Yeah, I think it's not that difficult. It will not require too much explanation because if our time is getting close to the end. If a person stops, okay, during the obligatory salat, for example, إذا توقف الطائف لأداء صلاة الفريضة. So he should مثلا فيجب عليه الاستئناف من النقطة التي توقف فيها، ولكن هذه النقطة واقعية أو تقريبية. He says that when a person stops for the obligatory salat during the tawaf, they say sit, sit, sit. So he was doing tawaf and he sat down. Okay. So now he's going to continue from the same point. So is this like precise point where he had been stopped, or it is an estimated, approximate where he stopped? That means little bit front, little bit back will not harm. So he says it is compulsory to continue the tawaf from exact same place where he stopped, in a way that his tawaf should not be decreased even with the amount of one finger. That means preciseness. And however, if he is not able to pinpoint that precise place, so he can go back a little bit, okay, where he is confirmed, where he's certain that this is included, this exactly I have done it. But the where they tell me sit, 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 I don't know, did I move a little bit front? So if you had moved a little bit front, or you don't know, then you go a little bit behind. Because many times this, when these things happen, you get like shocked, baffled, oh, what's happening? Oh my goodness. And then you realize, oh, they're telling us to sit, sit. And there are sometimes some of them are very rude. So you might freak out and you might forget if you don't forget your rounds of tawaf, but you might forget, where did this guy say stop and I got scooped a little bit in front, or not. So just go a little bit back in a point where you are certain that this is definitely where I stopped the tawaf. The rest in front, I don't know whether I sat in front or sat here or sat there, but this definitely I had done this part of the tawaf. Yeah. And then what should your intention be? Your intention should be that wherever Allah knows I had stopped. Wherever Allah knows I had stopped. So you go back a little bit in yaqeen and you say that I'm continuing my tawaf from wherever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows that I had stopped, discontinued. So there's a very peculiarity here. You see, that means your intention needs to be consistent and continuous during the entire round of the tawaf. That means somebody asks you, uh, what are you doing? I don't know. I'm doing tawaf. That means you did not have intention. Okay, because you got shocked. So the intention inside your heart needs to be, your awareness that you are performing the tawaf needs to be there in the whole thing. Yes, and that was number 10. The second one says, if Salat al-Jama'ah is held during the tawaf, during his tawaf, and he had to discontinue the tawaf, and he thought, khalas, the tawaf is invalid, and he 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 did a new tawaf. Okay, he repeated the tawaf. Will that be sufficient? He says that would be sufficient. Okay, that would be sufficient, because anyhow it takes too much time for Salat al-Jama'ah, and this guy thought that his tawaf got messed up, so he did the whole new thing. We will stop here. Question number 12, inshallah, we will do it tomorrow بإذن ta'ala. وآخر دعوانا الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله على محمد وعلى آله الطيبين الطاهرين والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.